So, how long do you think we'll be here? I'm not talking to you.
You know what? We are so screwed.
Thought you weren't talking to me.
It's time to show them we are more than meets the eye. We stand here together as one.
Hey everybody, this is PD from the Spinner Rack, and today I'm doing a video on Transformers 1, right? So I've done some Transformers movies in the past, and this is a review of the new movie that was, can I just say it right now? It was very good. I watched it and I enjoyed it, right? I was surprised because, well, no, actually, I think I've done some videos where I said I watched a bunch of the new Transformers movies. So it's kind of how they were dealing with the history of it. If you imagine watching or reading Superman, as the character develops, his history kind of gets changed. So you can see gradual ones from Action Comics to Superman #1. Then from the news strip, you can see some changes. And all this is a part of the same thing. I think Cal talked about it in the show where the radio show had a different sort of origin. I think, I think the Fleischer cartoons just had less stuff, a slightly different look. But at the same time as this, and even the Superman balloon that's in the parade, even though it doesn't look like him, it's like all of this is the same guy as you go along. So at the same time, the people doing the Transformers is kind of like, we're not going to be locked into any direct thing besides some of the key elements. That Optimus Prime was Orion Pax. What else? This thing that they've added in, that Optimus and Megatron were friends early on. I think one had them in the sort of fighting arena type of deal. But so they have some threads, right? The Primes, the Matrix. I don't know if the Allspark was something that was from the movies or the comic books. I could be wrong. I thought it was from the movies. But the Alpha Trion, Sentinel Prime, these characters keep coming back. So I can't tell you what's new because I haven't been following Transformers that much as far as the entire lineage, but it was something I was a big fan of as a kid. So I was a fan of the series, I was a fan of the movie, and then I was iffy on after the movie because the animation was so bad. There was a couple episodes that were really good. I always go to Grimlock was an Grimlock, but Grimlock was smart. And then when they got to the Beast Wars, and it was the early animation, I was iffy on that, so I didn't do that. And then the movies, I was kind of iffy on too because it didn't look like my characters. But I joined back, as you can see, with Bumblebee, and then I didn't get to see the other movie in the theaters, but I watched it, and it was okay. The last one, even though they tried to bring the human element a little too much, where Transformers movie showed you didn't really need the human element because, like the old Fantastic Fours, the human qualities were in the Transformers. So you didn't need to ground it in always trying to save Earth. You can always ground it in these guys trying to beat the hell out of each other, right? So let's get to it. We have it's not Optimus, it's Orion Pax and D16, as would be Megatron. They are bots. They are basically nobodies that work in these mines, and they kind of You know, they're best friends. They like to bug out, but Optimus is kind of an adventurer. He kind of wants to adventure, and he kind of, after they finish work, he finds ways to look around things. And even in the beginning, they go in and they're sneaking around, and they get busted, and of course they have to do more work. Like we see Optimus getting busted early on, and D, well, not Orion Pass busted, and then we see D 16 helping them out. So it builds the start of their relationship. But then at the same time, they they come along this artifact which shows where the come along this artifact that says where the Matrix could be, and there's a what is it? Sentinel Prime is saying that the Matrix has been gone. So the Matrix is gone. There's no chance to find the Matrix, and but they said they have this note. So then they run into, man, what was that? Sorry, trying to keep a cheat sheet. But it just leads them to into more work, having to do more work. So as they, yeah, sorry. Oh, here we go. I got it. It's Alita One. Alita One is their boss. She is not into any of their antics. She doesn't hear anything. And as they do stuff, they get her in trouble. And she gets bust down to nothing, right? So then, of course, there's this contest, right? But bots who can't transform, they can't join the, and all the people that are the ton of workers, right? So they have this working class, this troglodytes thing, right? Where they're all they can't transform, and so they go into this race, and they of course do their best to almost win, but they inspire so many that Sentinel Prime comes to them and says, "You guys, you guys are great," and he's gonna like almost like give them a better position, and they get thrown even further down in the it's not called Cybertron. It's a different area where they live at. So they go even further, and that's where they run into B-127, who of course is Bumblebee, who was always a mainstay in the series, and he is down by his lonesome. And at the same time, they happen on getting this a key to finding where the Matrix might be. So they go to Alita to try to get some help, and she tries to turn them in. But luckily, they get on this train ride, which leads them directly into the next part of the plot. So they're on this train ride, and they find out that things aren't what they seem. I won't spoil it. Well, I'm supposed to be here to spoil it, but they don't. They find out that Sentinel Prime is kind of not what he seems, right? And Alpha Trion, they find all the dead primes, and it's not what a Sentinel Prime was, but Alpha Trion is still alive, and they give him some energon, and they realize all this work, all this energon, is to these obviously the evil entities that rule over the Transformers, taking this, come in and kind of force them to give up all of their energon because of this bad deal that Sentinel Prime has put them on. So it's really, that's when you find out where, and we meet, was it Arachnid? This is like a spider transformer. She's really good. She's like one of my favorite characters in this series. So they don't have those other ones listed. Well, let's see. Let's keep going, just so I can tell you what the villains are for this story. All right. So they realize that their main enemy that they're against, Sentinel Prime, is connected to them. So they're in like, and this really messes up D16. He's like, oh, and he killed his favorite. I think it's like a Megatron or something like that. He killed his favorite Prime, so he's just like, Arr. So ultimately, they set forth to get back to what's the name? But at the same time, they're being tracked. So of course, there's a big blow up fight with Alpha Trion and the Sentinel Prime's guard, and they have this big fight. And then next, as you go along, they're like they're trying to get back, but of course they get sidetracked. And when they get sidetracked, we run into what we know as the Decepticons, and they're like in this new, and they're like this high guard, but now they're like off to the side, so they're almost like the heroes or the rebels, whereas the bots, or like Autobots, the bots are in the caves, and the high guard is kind of stuck to the side now. But they've been planning, with Starscream leading them, planning their attack to take things back. So Optimus kind of sees this as someone to help, but like D16 is like, I had it. I just want to kill Sentinel Prime. And they no, we got to work this out. And then, of course, he immediately gets into it with this high guard. And, of course, we have a classic battle between D16 and Starscream, who's voiced by Steve Buscemi. So I wasn't used to the voice because I'm used to Starscream's voice, but they lead to that. And then Starscream's kind of glutton for punishment because he's fighting D16, and he's like, yeah, keep going, keep going. And then we see, because that's the part I missed. The bots the only thing I missed was that Alpha Triumph says, hey, all Transformers can transform. We'll use the Primes transform thing, this sort of globe, put that in that open circle that they have, and then they start transforming. And this is because Hollywood loves to have the puberty scenes, so you have them struggling with transforming and trying to escape the Sentinel Prime's his guard. So they have all this thing, and then we see when they meet the High Guard, well, to say Megatron, his cannon gets even larger. So, I mean, pause. I mean, it just sounds crazy, but they really want to play up. They really want to play up this whole puberty aspect to the characters. So they get back. Optimus is trying to build the other bots to take over things. He's inspiring the High Guard, and Megatron don't care. He's going in and taking out Sentinel Prime, but it doesn't really work out the way. Of course, he gets captured. Optimus goes in there and with the bots and then the High Guard to stop things, and they go in and they ultimately kind of free up D23, D16, but he's just like, I don't care. I'm going after this, and I'm gonna kill Alpha Trion. And Sentinel Prime. And this leads to where we see the break of the friendship, right? Orion Pax is kind of like, no, we can't kill this guy. We can't, right? And he's like, nope, he's not into it. He don't care. He's like, I've had it with this guy. This guy has to die. So at this point, they defeat Sentinel Prime, and then at the same time, Optimus tries to save him from killing Sentinel, and he catches it. So the threads of the Transformer stuff are constantly here, which we've seen. Something terrible happening to Orion Pax, and by the hand of his best friend D16, and we see him go, but then we see he is now chosen as the Prime, right? And since he's so optimistic, he gets obviously the name of Optimus Prime, and then he's like, and then when D16 sees that he has the Matrix, and he's just like, what is going on? Nothing is real. Why would they pick you? Right? And he's upset. So I really love that it was kind of it was a thing where obviously Megatron's character was going to go through these terrible things that was going to lead him to something bad, but he wasn't actually. The reasons why was just he was just kind of pissed off. He'd been in the mines for so long, and he just like, yo, I had it. I can't take this no more, right? And he wanted to do things his way, and he's tired of Optimus kind of getting him into jams, but at the same time, he just on his own just decided he had it, right? So it leads to a big fight, and of course, a boy comes out on top. The Autobots or the bots now will get their transform thing, and they can transform. It's a new day. The High Guard leaves, and they're with D16, and at the same time, we have the bots having the ability to transform. We see Megatron start to put Decepticon signs on him after his favorite Prime, and they would become the Decepticons. So, I just did a video about retconning in the X-Men, and for some strange reason, this is similar to either Batman or Superman retconning, where they would retcon. It wasn't actually a retcon. They just would change stuff as it goes, and it would still work. So it's interesting to see if you can keep kind of the core of the characters, you can update the story as you go along, which is kind of strange. You can keep Cyclops, the slim and stoic, but still a great leader. Maybe you can keep him going into instead of making up new characters. But the Transformers, even though I think Bumblebee's characters change from thing to thing, where some points he can't talk, some point I think one of them he was kind of just like he didn't claim Autobot or Decepticon. He was just like, yo, I'm just trying to do my thing, to try to make him extra cool. But I think it's interesting, and I'm glad we moved away from the live action and the humans. I'm sorry, I've told too many stories where I just say you need to have a human element, and for the Transformers, I don't. The human element are the Transformers. I don't need to see them eat. I don't need to see them go to the bathroom. I don't need to see, outside of them being a sort of a military type team, I can use the camaraderie, the struggle, the life and death struggle. And the hard part is the initial Transformers movies, it was tough. The series was because the Autobots were saying they weren't fighters. It's like, well, what are we in here for? Obviously, we're supposed to be watching the Autobots, and they get their butts kicked. And this happened so much that the people in Brooklyn were like, yo, we like the Decepticons, and it became a gang in Brooklyn. And so ultimately, I gave you my recommendation and I liked it. I'd like to see more, see where they go with this. But with the Transformers franchise, it could be anything. They can change this again. So they have a lot of different voices, and I would say, obviously, I already complained about Starscream. I really like the original Megatron, like the original Optimus. And ultimately, I say go see it. So, Spinner Rack out. Check it out when you get a chance.